You ready?
Ready?
Okay. We're up. We're up.
Not yet.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Is the mic working? Test, test, test. Y'all can hear all right?
Test.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021. It's 9:06, and we're here for a special session of the Hunt County Commissioners Court. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order. We have Commissioner Hutchins, Martin, and Harrison present. Commissioner Strait is not present today. I'm Judge Stovall. I'll be presiding over the meeting. At this time, we normally have public testimony, but we're going to delay that to a little later in the meeting, at which time we'll have public comments. Also, that you can go to huntcounty.net and look for the banner for comments, and you can type in a comment that will be read to the court later in the meeting, or you can put in a telephone number, and we'll call you at that number at the appropriate time, and you can address the court. Being no old business, we'll move on to new business. Action item number 1, to receive and provide information, evaluate demographics, take action to establish criteria for redistricting, and take possible action regarding redistricting of county public boundaries. Eric McGee, welcome to Hunt County.
Thank you, Judge. So I think I sent each one of you your initial assessment packet. So there's basically several things we need to accomplish today. One is working towards a redistricting plan, or plans, as many as we need, so that you can get this set for public hearing and moving quickly along to proceed for your candidacies starting November 13th, which is a new deadline that we just learned of this past week instead of November 29th by Senate bill.
So it's officially the 13th now, whether we're ready or not.
Well, that's what we're hearing from the Secretary of State's office, is it's officially the 13th. So I don't really know what that means, other than it's the 13th, and then come December 2nd, the law will change, and the filing deadline will be November 29th through December 13th, because that law doesn't come into effect until December the 2nd. So
So we're gonna have 2 filing date times in, or
you know,
we don't know?
That's a good question, probably for the Secretary of State's office. And what happens to candidates that file before the November 29th deadline, but then the law changes to only be November 29th through December 13th? I honestly don't know the answer to that. This is real time as we're working through this process. So if you remember 10 years ago when we did redistricting, we were here back in March and April and May and June, and we had months to go through the process. The census data was delayed until September of this year, and so that's why everything is on a fast track to push and get everything done as quickly as possible. I brought along with me just some notes from 10 years ago. Your population was 86,129. Today, your population is 99,956. So you've experienced growth over the last 10 years. And how we don't even know really what the growth is, because I'm hearing from lots of counties that we think we have an undercount of the census. So you probably have much more than 99,000. The census data is the official data that we have to utilize. So we just need to make sure that we follow the boundaries. Up here is your current existing boundaries from 10 years ago. Let's see if I can get that centered. So we see that precinct 2 obviously had the most growth, and they're gonna need to give away the population to precincts 1, 4, and 3. So what's actually required through this process is we need to make sure that, sorry, I'm getting a little feedback over here, so I keep hearing me repeat myself every few seconds. So you're looking at 4 things. You're looking at the U.S. Constitution, the state constitution, the Voting Rights Act of the 1960s, as well as the election codes, and make sure that we comply with each one of those. And then we also look at all racial demographics and how they were established 10 years ago. That's why I brought my notes from 10 years ago to see if you actually created a minority majority precinct. I don't think that was accomplished 10 years ago because I'm looking at each one, and it looks like precinct 4 was your strongest minority precinct.
Right.
But it still wasn't a minority majority. When I look at the numbers there, we were looking about 55% were Anglo, and a voting population that was about 60%. So we want to try to maintain and keep those things as close as we possibly can, but that's not how the population actually moves around anymore. It's not through historical communities. It's now spread out throughout the county. And we can talk about each ethnic group as identified by the U.S. Census Bureau and determine what the total population is for the county. So I think you're looking in front of you as the first thing we need to accomplish is the order establishing criteria for redistricting of political boundaries. These are just the factors that you take under consideration. I'm not going to read all 14 of them, but I will talk about each one quickly just so the Commissioners Court is aware. Like I said, the first one is the Voting Rights Act, the Texas Election Code, and then both the U.S. and Texas Constitution. Case law has developed over the years that anything that creates a total maximum deviation of more than 10% is presumptively unconstitutional, and that goes along with the theory of one person, one vote, meaning that each person in each precinct has the same and equivalent vote for the people that hold the purse strings of the county, their tax dollars. And so, for example, if we just look at your map, Precinct 2 has a total population of 29,893, which is an overage of 19.62%. And what do we mean by overage? So what we do is we take the total population of 99,956 and divide it by 4, and that comes up to 24,989, which is your ideal population for each Commissioner's Court precinct. So that's just equalizing them to have the same population. So then we look at what the existing census data shows for the numbers of your existing boundaries. And like I said, precinct 2 is at 29,893. So that's an overage of 19.62. And then the largest with the underage is 23,116 for precinct 1 at negative 7.5. So a couple of weeks ago, I was explaining that you add the total maximum deviation together, and somebody told me that my East Texas education was incorrect because 19.62 plus negative 7.5 does not come out to 27%. And so I had to explain that it's not mathematics exactly, it's a spectrum. And so your ideal population is right here at 24.989. And so the overage is over here at 19.62, and the underage is over here at 7.5. So it's that distance between the two that gets you to the 27%, not straight math of 19.62 plus negative 7.5. Hopefully that's helpful, but lots of people have asked questions about that. So it says that the plan should address minority representation where possible. We tried to avoid fragmentation and preserve minority communities of interest as maximum extent as possible. That comes straight out of the Voting Rights Act, where you don't look at historical minority populations, especially in rural areas, and you seek to divide those communities up from their voting block. Same thing with other historical communities. You try to make sure you maintain all cultural ties, that they vote at the same place. Lots of people have lots of strong opinions that they've always voted at a certain church or a certain community center out in a rural area, and they want to maintain that stays their voting place. We also try to use very clear designated lines for what breaks up yours. We use the census data, so the census data actually is the clearest. You're not looking at some tree and then trying to divide a line in the middle of a pasture. It's usually either a creek, a stream, some type of roadway that the census blocks actually follows. And that just goes along with number 7, that you follow well-organized and long-used established election precinct boundaries. The election code, are y'all a county that votes county-wide, or do you vote in individual precincts?
Individual person.
Okay, so we also look at making sure that after you adopt your boundaries, then we will go back and look at your election precinct boundaries, because there's certain requirements that there can't be more than a certain number of voters for each election boundary. And so we'll do that later. Real-time information. Yesterday afternoon, the Secretary of State's office issued another elections advisory, which pushed the deadline for your elections administrator or your county clerk, your tax collector, assessor, whoever does your elections, back to December 31st. So those boundaries have to be done, and then the voter registration cards go out after that. So that gives us a little bit of breathing room, because we were under that December timeline to get that done as well. We want to pay particular attention to each one of your residents and make sure that we don't draw one of you out of your precinct boundary lines, that you're still going to be representing the people who have elected you. Same thing with your JPs and your constables. We want to also make sure that we remember where the JP's offices actually are, because they have to hold court in their particular boundaries. I know that your JP lines are a little bit different than your commissioner's lines. They all don't follow the same ones. So after we set the commissioner court lines, if your JPs follow specific voting precincts or something, let me know and we can calculate that. If you don't want to touch your JPs and just leave them exactly where they are, they're not under the same requirement of redistricting as everybody else.
Can I ask you something real quick
Yes.
on that, Eric? In here in Hunt County, you see like precinct 4, and yet the constable and the JP are a total different number than 4.
Correct.
What's the reasoning behind that?
Oh, why is number 4 down at the bottom
No.
and splits 2 and 3? Is that?
Well, as far as the constable and the JP.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know when that change occurred. I'd have to go back. It was that way when I look back at your 2000 and at your 2010 census,
That's
and
right.
that's as far as I could go back to determine.
It's been that way since.
I understand it's been
2001.
that way. I'm just asking if there is a reason why and if it could possibly be changed or looked at, because obviously it's very confusing for the citizens that's calling for, precinct 4 commissioner or JP or constable and find out we're split up. So I just have that question is if there's a reason why it's done that way.
There's a reason why we can't change it.
So we
There's a
can't
reason-
change it.
I'm
That's
not
what we're
aware
saying.
of a way that you can change it. Honestly, y'all are probably, I've done about 30 counties so far. You're one of about 3 counties that your JPs don't follow your commissioner's court
course.
lines.
To Hunt County.
Like most of what I call your county is a 4-square county, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, however you do your numerical number, it's a 4-square county. A lot of counties in the Metroplex area and around Travis County, Bexar County, and Harris County are experiencing such significant growth that they will no longer look like the traditional 4-square county. But most of them your JPs follow your exact same boundaries, or else they have 2 JPs that follow a 1 and 4 and a 2 and 3, or they may have 6. I have some that have 6 or 8 JPs.
They have one in Granville, for instance, place 1, place 2.
Right.
So they have 2 because of the population.
Correct.
That's why.
So there's a bunch of different boundaries there, and I can't really explain why y'all did yours that way. I didn't go back and look at it, but that's where we're at. And that's something we're going to have to look at, because also I think a portion of your county is going to have a different congressional district as well.
Yes.
I looked at those maps before I came. So when we're looking at your election boundaries, we want to make sure that we capture the correct congressional districts. Y'all's congressional district, that portion will be split between,
I thought we had all of one.
We have,
I thought we
we
had
have
all.
representatives and senators, we have them split.
Well, the representatives
state.
can't be split.
Yeah, they
You
can.
about federal or state?
your
Federal.
state senate is the same, that's Senate 8. Your
We could,
Texas House is 2.
right?
And it looks like your congressional districts will be split between 3 and 4. The southern tip of the county is going to be in 4, according to the latest map
Oh,
that
wow.
the governor just signed.
Oh, wow, I didn't see that one. Because before we were totally in one.
And then
Yeah.
your State Board of Education is exactly the same. So those are all boundaries. I'll just
Whoa,
I knew I was gonna do that. But I caught myself.
but I
I think
believe,
this is Hunt County right here, and so the southern tip right there is what got moved out.
your, Hall got moved out completely though. He's
Yeah, but we're talking about
representative.
US
Yes.
representatives.
See where I'm talking
Oh, I
about?
see where you're talking about. I'm just trying to figure out what they're following there. I guess that'd be Brushy Creek or something. No, it wouldn't be Brushy Creek. What are they following? 276 maybe? Maybe Highway 276 south? I bet that's what it is.
I think it's somewhere right in here, right? It's where it looks like the.
Yeah, I think it's
cylinder.
following, yeah, that's 276 as it jogs through town and then goes across, I guess is what that looks like.
That's what it looks like to me on that
Yeah,
map. I was trying to
276.
zoom in and look.
Yeah.
I mean, so we'll just have to be cognizant when we work on those voting districts to make sure that those people are identified as being split between two U.S. congressional district seats so that they, will have one for the north and one for the south. Assuming this plan is upheld. There's been lawsuits all over the place about the various plans.
That,
So-
that split that lake, didn't it? On 276.
Well, it's split, yeah, where it crosses the lake.
So I can pull that data as we go through it, but I just wanted to make sure you were aware that that's one of the issues that we're also looking into when we come up with your voting districts. And then the last thing that we're looking for is making sure that historical polling places stay in the same place. I know the election staff wants to make sure that they find places that are ADA compliant, things like that. So when we look through here, if you look on the map up here that I have up, you'll see little blue dots. And those were your election precincts at various times. So if there's one that's been moved around or you don't use it since 2010 and you've added some new ones or something, just be cognizant that you may need to shout out to me and tell me, no, we've changed that one in 2018 or 2016 and moved it over to somewhere else. But we also try to keep those things around in the same places to make it easier on that. And that's pretty much that's the order establishing the criteria that we're going to use. All of that follows the Voting Rights Act. And if you remember from 10 years ago, that a portion of the Voting Rights Act required counties to go through what's called pre-clearance, where you actually submit your plan that you've adopted to the Department of Justice, and they sign off on it and say that it's pre-cleared, meaning that it should meet all the legal requirements. That's not required in 2020. That portion of the law was not renewed about 7 years ago. It was renewed in the 1990s, got us through the 2000, renewed again by President Bush, and got us through the 2010 census, and then it was not renewed again by President Obama. So we don't have that step. That doesn't mean anything because people have asked me like, oh, we don't have to be pre-cleared anymore. Well, you still have to meet all the same legal requirements. It's just that last piece of the puzzle, putting it in the envelope and mailing it off and waiting for somebody to send you back a letter. It's the same process that we've always followed, ensuring compliance with each one of these statutes. And so if y'all want to, before we move on and start working on ideas of how we can move population around, if y'all want to go ahead and adopt this, then that's a clear indicator that that's how we're moving forward.
Okay. All right, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to approve the order establishing criteria for redistricting of political boundaries.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And so what we went through when we sent you the actual proposal was establishing each one of, basically what happens is you take your existing plan and you download all of the information once the U.S. Census Bureau released that, and you dump it into these files. What you see here is the actual census blocks that the Census Bureau identifies, and then you see a number in each one, and that's the total population. So for example, Commissioner 2 has to give away approximately 4,800 people. So, and he's got to divide that up pretty evenly between precinct 1, precinct 3, and precinct 4. And so as you see, the challenge actually is precinct 2 doesn't actually touch precinct 4. So you're going to have to either give some to precinct 1 to give to precinct 4, or give to precinct 3 to give to precinct 4, so that you will be able to balance that out. So the magic number we're looking for is somewhere creating the same deviation between 5%. 10 years ago, you got down to 2.78%. But we always want to take all those factors that you just approved into consideration. One commissioner asked me, did I come and what was my suggestions and where were my plans and how did I think we needed to move away the boundaries? And I told him that 10 years ago, when I was a young attorney and went to one of my own home counties in East Texas, there was a commissioner who had been on the court for probably 40 or 50 years. And he sent me through this long history of, do you see this road over here? Tell me about that road. Do you know where that road is? Well, I actually knew where the road was and I knew what it was. Well, he led me down the path until he said, do you understand that I just spent $275,000 fixing up that road? And you just gave it from precinct 3 over to precinct 1. So now all of my voters that I just fixed up that road are very happy and they're going to be voting for precinct 1. I'm not giving up my new road, and so that's why I don't come in with a strong preference or a strong plan. I did look at y'all's. That's how I knew kind of that 2 and 4 didn't touch and that there was going to be some challenges there to meet that. But by that same token, a lot of times people think it's easy to go into a city and just move population around. Well, again, if your mom teaches Sunday school at First Baptist Church, Commissioner, and I take a whole neighborhood and give it over to another commissioner, then you may tell me all of your mom's Sunday school members live in that neighborhood and you don't want to give up that neighborhood. So I create more problems sometimes than when I just come and let me hear what areas and how y'all think makes the most sense, especially where your voters vote, what roads you keep track of, what neighborhoods and where your JPs live and your constables live and those types of things that we need to consider. Yes, sir.
I'm thinking of Ms. Ash back there in reference to precinct 3. We're going to have to come up with what type of a population added to precinct 3? Right at how many votes?
You've got to add about 1,400 people.
Okay, may I ask you in box 212,
Okay.
box 212, you're saying I have to take in 1,400. What about box 212 and taking a whole box? What would that give me?
Okay. I'm going to turn it on so we can actually see.
Good.
Are you talking about voting boxes or
I'm
census
talking about
boxes?
population plus taking it in the box to where we don't split voting
Well,
boxes.
hang on. You said we had the census tracts, and he's talking voting box.
So I was gonna
Do those
turn
go
on-
together?
They do. The census blocks make up a voting block. And
Okay.
I can turn on, I'll show you. I'm going to
That's
go
just, I just
through.
want clarity on that. I wasn't making sure I was
I'm
following.
going to make it kind of an obnoxious color here. So for example, let me turn on. Which one is voting? This is 31B, 325.
Go to the left, to your left. No, I
Oh,
apologize.
sorry.
You see what Greenville is, where it says
Yes, sir.
Greenville?
Okay.
Okay. That would be
Should be that
box 2.
yellow bit to the south.
Right here.
Yep.
So when you look up here, over here on the side, you'll see target, and then source would be that's coming from 2 going to 3. So when I highlight that whole section right there,
Yes.
that will tell us, if I'm going to pull up where it says pending changes, that will tell you that that total population is 2,623.
would that stay within the percentage? I understand that that's,
It doesn't stay within the percentage, but what that actually does to help is that allows you to pick up more than you needed, and then allows you to give away to for some that he needs.
say that again?
So the problem is 2 has to give their population away.
That's correct.
2 and 4 do not touch one another.
That's right.
Okay. So if we gave you an overage of what you need, right? You need 1,400
Yes, sir.
population, right?
Yes, sir.
4 needs 1,500. So if we gave you 2,600, we're creating you almost double what you need, right?
Yes.
So the other half portion of that double we would give to Commissioner 4 somewhere from you, and that would put you 2 in compliance.
What my problem is, if I were to give him some, we would be dividing those precincts, and this goes to what you said earlier, basically.
Well, we don't have a choice, Philip.
No, I understand that,
Okay.
but what I'm saying is, there's a way if we could come down, bring precinct 1 down to, down below 380 like it used to be, that will give precinct 1 some population. What is that, Clinton Highway?
But you still gotta lose 1,200,
Yeah, that's what I'm trying, but I don't want to split up a box. That's what my problem is.
but you can give one away. You can give something away.
Well, I mean, also, just because 2 is giving away, in the in analysis, they can also add back if we need to.
Right.
So if we give a larger precinct, box, the smaller one could be added back.
If we take too much away from 2.
Correct.
Yeah. Have you gone all the way to the East County line?
What, precinct 3?
Yeah, I was just
Yes.
trying to see what was over in that east, along I-30. Is there any natural line along there?
Not really unless, no. Interstate basically cuts it all completely.
Well, shouldn't any of those boxes be
See it
along
real
something
good.
natural? All of the box lines, shouldn't they be along some road or something?
Something that you can clearly
Identify,
identify.
so you
And it's
don't-
usually like a pipeline, a road,
Right.
or a stream or creek or river or something like that is always, those are the ones I always run into.
So if we started over at the East County line and took in a few boxes right along in there to go to 4, how many would we have to take in along there to,
Well, as you can see in the population totals here,
I can't read them.
oh, okay. So this far one right here that's kind of long and skinny that you see my mouse, that's 8, 14, 33, 78, 170. So you're getting into some bigger population right there. But there's just not large totals that came back. 50, 79, 63, 33, 0, 3, 9, 49. So then you're starting to take in large portions. Same thing though here in the city, for example, 3, I don't know how large these voting boxes are inside the city. This is just one right here. What number is it?
Zoom back out a little, make it smaller. What about if, let me, hang on a second. I think I got a pointer in here somewhere. What if we took in that, not work on it, won't work on that screen, will it? Could we come in here,
In here?
is this still 2?
This is one.
One. So this is 2.
No, this is 3.
That's 3.
This
Why
is 3.
is 3?
So we gotta get to 4. So what if we came in here somewhere, there's some population.
172, 16, 43, 40, 55,
Down into here.
207. But see how strange that one is for 207?
Yeah.
That's a long one that goes all the way down
Oh, yeah.
to here, which is probably a road.
That, all that right there is, Sabine.
County Road 3126 or something like that.
As far as making up for precinct 4, taking in Wolf City up there, and possibly, I hate crossing the interstate, but what is the red right up above 212?
Right here?
Right there. Where's precinct 4 right in here?
You've got a lot of population right in here.
You gotta
Yeah,
take
you gotta
some
take, but
in.
you gotta get some of him too. If you hold here, you gotta get something off of here.
What about going up there where he's talking about and going up to Wolf City and taking a 34? That'll give you population.
Yeah, but we gotta get 1,300 people out of you. Can we make this smaller, or is that what it has to be?
Okay, so what you could do right here, you can make that smaller. What you could do is, what we would need to look at, let me get rid of this, and I'm gonna X out right here. So see these blocks right here that are like 482, 103, 200? If he took all of those blocks right there, which I guess is this 34,
Yes.
would be the dividing line,
Right.
then those individuals would merge into this voting box right
Yeah.
here.
Right.
So I'm going to change this from voting districts to census blocks, and I'm going to put back up our pending screen so you'll see what that does to the numbers.
Right there. Was it that 34 right there, isn't it? Yes.
And then I just need to zoom in because, see, there's little bitty boxes here that you got to capture.
That would do that.
Yeah, we're-
That's,
Okay, so if you look at what just that section did, it's right here where it says change in population. That's 1439. You needed to get 1467. You're not going to get any better than that.
yeah, that's true. Okay, but over there, the rest of that box, would that be taken in by 1? I mean 4?
4 doesn't touch there.
Oh, gosh.
That's okay, I mean, that's getting pretty close.
That's-
That's within, what, 300?
That's perfect for him. He doesn't. That's within
Okay.
30 something people for him.
So the only consideration, if we have to consider, is road miles, because he just took in everything in the city of Greenville, that he had no road miles on.
Okay.
Here, let me explain something on this, and I agree with you on road miles. In actuality, you take, on precinct 2, you take, the road miles and do away with the miles that he lost in Poetry, Roy City, and Josephine. According to his own figuring, that was gonna be, let me see if I can find it. That was gonna be right at 20, and that was not including Roy City or Josephine. He was gonna lose, he figured it up to be about 15 miles, but he didn't charge everything else. That was just Poetry. I have that where he wrote it up, because I understand that we need to take some of those miles off of it. But
That's what I'm
you-
saying, I mean, I don't know where the miles fall, I'm just saying what you took is all in the city of Greenville.
Yes. Yes,
Hang on,
The voting box. Yeah, I mean, it has to be. There's just, you don't have an option. So that would probably become the new 212 that you're leaving in there. And then all of those voters, if possible, will go into this voting box. But we're gonna have to make sure that it's compliant with, you're not gonna be over the required amount.
Here's the road she lost.
What voting box is this?
212, I think.
That was 324.
Is that 212?
The one in the red is,
Part of it.
212, and then you
Yes.
go down to that right there where you have it, that's 324.
324? About how many voters do you have in there? You don't know?
Eric, I'd be interested in seeing a scenario in which, it'd probably be 211, I don't have the map in front of me, but more on the south and western part of Greenville where it would be added to precinct 1.
Right here?
Yes, well,
Let's see if you can get some copies.
Oh, right in
some of
here?
this has a little,
Later, get trade of them.
few fewer roads.
Ask Carol,
Smart.
ask Carol.
Because if we're mostly rejiggering city populations.
So
something
if
in that
you,
area, if it were taken enough, that then precinct 4 could take up some population on the north east side, north and east side of the city of Greenville, that might be a good way of rebalancing things.
from so here's kind of, there's not much population right here. Is this where you're looking at?
Yes, but there's probably more down to the south of that.
Down here? Okay. So down here, there's 139, 103. Like, yes, you could capture some of this down to 30. And that's in the city of Greenville.
Maybe we should reverse engineer this and actually start by seeing what it would take to give to 4 up on the northern
Okay.
side of town.
So do you want me to accept this change right here, Commissioner Martin?
This here?
Yes.
I
Yes,
don't-
I'd
I'm not
be
sure
glad
about
to
that
take
yet.
that if it'll work.
Yeah, I don't think we need to accept anything.
I don't think we're ready for that.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I mean, we can work on other plans. You
Yes.
know, we don't. This doesn't lock us into anything.
Oh, that's
but
fine
I'm-
then. I
yeah.
mean, I don't
Yeah.
care.
I'm willing to go that route,
Okay.
yes.
Well, if y'all, I don't need to
Just
come
name
back.
the
I
one.
can just skip that right now, and then we'll come back
And
down
it's
there
up
because we
here
know where that's
for
at.
now. And
You want to
give
go
him
up here?
Eric one.
Yeah, so we need how many? 1,400?
4 needs about 15 to 1,400 people, maybe 13. Oh, thank you.
Eric,
Yes, sir.
let me interject something just for consideration. You know, currently, until recently, precinct 2, that has the most population, also had the most roads.
Okay.
And he just lost some, so he now has 284 miles of roads. The next one has 298. And then it goes all the way down to 230. Precinct 1's got 236. So we need to be careful about grabbing any district that's just city of Greenville properties because of the road mileage. It's just gonna get disproportionately greater.
Okay.
So we need to, I mean, that makes that first scenario a little cumbersome, I'm afraid, to make it work. I think we need to look at going down 34, maybe south, and trying to take precinct 3 across 34 and find a line on the west side of 34 that picks up some road miles and population to take away from precinct 2, both people and road miles.
And I think that's something we should take into consideration. Where should we give either 3 or 1 to 4? We've got to, I think we got to accomplish that task first to know how much we're taking in for the rest of them, right? Because
Right. Well, I think 4 from 1 could be accomplished up around Wolf City,
I agree, yeah.
up the north part, where they're, because they kind of take in, both of them kind of have part of Wolf City each.
Well,
So,
and then along that
So
34,
if-
go back out just a See, right along here, all these county roads are actually county roads under precinct 4. They have a 4 form. During the last census, it was changed over to precinct 1. So right now, Mark manages those roads, but they still list as a precinct 4 road.
But I don't have much populations in Wolf City and along right in there, but we could pick up some population pretty good right through there.
Okay.
To give from 1 to 4.
1 to 4.
Going,
Is that okay with you?
if you were to take into 34 inclusive of Wolf City, you would be picking up population.
Right.
If you were on 34, using that as a boundary line, taking that population, you might pick up your population right there.
Well, he needs to get half of it, about 700 there and then 700 from you.
Yeah.
Or 600, whatever the number is.
Can he not get it in Greenville? Down below like he was talking?
Well, let's see what this does first. Good gracious.
Is that boundary of 34 on the left?
So you see it's changing right here every time I click a box.
I can't see what
It's to 1314 right now.
How many do you have to have?
He's probably going to have to take all of Wolf City in to get his number.
So if that solves that problem though that was challenging. Get 4 his number.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. If we go 34, it'd still be a good boundary, we'd keep from,
That won't be 34 anymore, Philip.
oh, it'd be just to the left of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And-
that's, oh wait, there's one right there in the middle with 1 and 0 in it. So that right there is 1442. He needed to pick up 1564. That's fine within 100 people. That because y'all's population is so large, it's not like I'm dealing with a county that only has a population of 20 because those percentages shoot up rapidly.
Right.
Here's my scare on this boundary thing. I don't care for my men to get on the interstate and go north, nor he to the south, plus look where our barns are. It's way out of the way. And here it would be better for the commissioners and the people themselves in reference to doing it like this versus leaving the 30. We're still gonna have to do away with precinct 1 to come on down, but this took care of a lot of mileage, and this wasn't all that he's losing. This right here has to do with poetry.
Well, wait,
Yeah.
this has got to get his people. So right now this gets his people.
So do you want to follow 34 and take in that little area right there just to make a clear boundary? Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Now, this one that juts out here, that's a city boundary. That's why I kept it, so that one voter would be voting somewhere otherwise than everybody
that's
else
right.
in the city boundary.
Right.
So that's why that makes that weird little jut. That's the annexation out there of Wolf City. So
I think that's a good start. And then if we can go try to figure out 1 and maybe get 1 and 2 figured out, and then maybe we can back into.
So now this is the question right here. Are we drawing nobody lives in that Wolf City area that's a county commissioner, right?
No.
Okay.
Oh, you're all right.
And then Wolf City right now, okay, I think we're fine then with the JPs too.
If we don't change it, we're fine.
Yeah.
We do have a lot up there, but I think we're out of it. I can't really tell from here, but we can double check that
Okay.
for store materials and such.
Well, I had to draw somebody's barn out of their precinct the other day.
Oh, no.
And there was nothing we could do. So the one county commissioner told him he was going to charge the other county commissioner rent for having his barn in his precinct, just because it was right on a major highway,
Right.
and the only way to get population was to jump that highway.
Precinct three's barn.
So I can accept that, this change right here.
Yes.
Okay,
I have no
so
problem
let me
with
show
that.
you something. Once I hit accept, it will show you how 4 changes. It's live, it updates automatically. So if you see 4 went all the way down to negative 0.43. So you can't get any more perfect than that, because you're never going to capture that right number.
Oh, now he'll
right?
get the big head because he's perfect.
I didn't say it.
So then, now you see that the creation occurred where now 1 is 13 under, right? So that's where we have to capture as much as we can, giving from 2 to 1, and that will make that around 3,000 people, which we can accomplish in multiple ways. You can do road mileage in consideration and do a portion of it somewhere, right? And then come back into the city where you need to gain other population.
Well, currently, 1 has the least miles, and what we just did didn't take a whole lot of miles away from you, did it? Because most of it's Wolf City. So back to what we said earlier, jump 380.
In here, or
Yeah,
close-
parallel. We used to, at some point in time, 1 crossed 380 all the way back from the county line all the way back into Greenville and followed some line through there.
30, what is that, what farm market is that, 3511 or
3211.
3211? It's been, all these years, even since 2000, it's been a yo-yo of precinct 1 and
Okay.
2 flipping back.
So let me just show you. I'm going to do the entire voting box that encompasses north of 3211. Just so y'all know, that would be giving up here where it says Target. I'm always moving that. It's not the Target store anywhere. Somebody told me the other day, don't move Target out of their precinct, but it's the target of who's getting it. And then down here is 2. So this is the entire voting box that you see, this purple line.
Yeah.
So I'm going to change that and just see what our population is for the voting box is 1724. So you could move the entire voting box up and then come within the city and pick up some of the other population. Then she didn't have to worry about her polling place, because she moved the whole polling place from one up to the other.
What polling?
But I don't worry about a heck of a lot of roads.
Yeah, I know you're worried about roads.
You need a few more.
I mean, I can take a few, that's not a problem, but
This was originally in precinct 1, correct?
At least parts of it. I don't know they went that far south.
They went 3211 all the way across.
You did?
Yeah. Went all the way across past 30, what is that, 36, and,
This is 36 right
is
here.
that correct?
Where did he get us on population? What are we short?
We're short about 1,200.
Okay.
Wow. Get it in the
Back in the
town.
city now.
So, 2 just doesn't have that much city population. That's the problem. Because see, 2 starts right here. But what you could do, this is just a suggestion, keeping 30 as the box, you split where you were talking about
Give
that
that to him.
212, give that to you, and then give the other half to him with this other portion inside the city limit.
Yeah, that'd do it. Your mileage would, I don't know how much your mileage would be, but we'd have to figure that, but that would give you population. I mean,
currently my precinct, Greenville runs up to Traders Road, and that's the southern boundary of it. I forget the number. But if we were to jump Traders Road and take in all that, or to up to 1570,
What he's talking about is being Spain 34 west, I think, Mark,
Okay.
which would be Wesley all the way up, so you'd get Wesley all the way up to whatever.
So I have
can't
to,
read that.
I'm gonna just temporarily do this right now, just so you'll know the numbers. I'm gonna accept that whole voting box being moved up to 1. So you see that creates 1 now, it needs about 1,600, not quite all the way. But if we go right here and follow inside the city, let me stay north of there.
Yeah. That getting it?
And then one of y'all are going to have to probably get the remainder of voting box 212. Is that right? Am I saying the right number? South of 30.
That's 212 that's left out there?
The rest of this that you see, this right here, and these blocks are the ones we talked about for you out of 212.
Where do you get him in populate one?
Okay, I'll just go. I'm going to accept that. And you'll see now he is negative 1.06. He doesn't need to do anything else. So then if we go over here and capture giving from 2-3 from 2, this area right here, below 30, which was all of the old 212.
That- Yeah. Let's see that. I would lose the top of that box, wouldn't I? Am I
The
correct?
top of the box went to Commissioner 1.
Yes,
And then you take the bottom part, which that gets you exactly where you need to be also.
okay,
So like if I'm going to accept it just so y'all see it, we always can change it back.
yes.
So now your total deviation, I'm going to move this down a little bit, is between precincts 2 at 1.68 over and precinct 1 at negative 1.06 under. So that leaves 2.74. And you last time were down to 2.78 10 years ago when you did redistricting. And that's it.
That's why that thing's been popping back and forth on there.
Oh, wait, it may change just a little bit more because see this little area right here? It's going to change just a little bit because I didn't capture that when we accepted it.
Okay, that would be in my precinct, though.
Yes.
You agree? Yes.
So now you've gone from one, now you're down to, you're only 6 people away from the ideal number,
That's what I'm
Commissioner
saying.
Martin.
That's-
And then between 1 and 2, now the deviation is 2.58. If that's something you could live with, I wouldn't do anything else. And then we could go on to a different plan and draw another option. Y'all could keep this as like plan 1 or something.
Hey, I think Plan 1 would be a good way to do it. Mark, you've got, I don't know how to guesstimate how many miles of roads you'd be picking up.
I wish I could.
You got a wild guess?
You want to say it,
Yeah, I
you
don't
wanna say
either.
it, yeah.
Do you remember what it was at the time before it went back to, did you look at those statistics? Because that's what exactly it would be. You're getting the same thing that you had prior to 10 years ago. I mean, yes. That's what you'd be getting.
We can just put this aside as Plan 1.
Yeah, no, I agree. But see, we still got 4 sitting over there at nearly 300 miles. And certainly I'm gonna guess you're gonna flip up to probably 280 or something, 275.
Pretty solidly, yeah.
I
There
don't
are a lot of
think-
roads over there.
I don't think there's gonna be, I'm just being honest, I don't believe there will be 20 miles. I don't think it'll go that high. I really don't. But we've got to remember, look at that deal, dirt, rock, oil, seal coat, and total. A lot of precinct 2 seriously will be losing a bunch of his miles and already have, but it was not taken off the inventory. And this number that Randy and I worked on to find out is very true, but that was not inclusive. That was not inclusive of Josephine and Roy City. And so he's gonna go down that many miles, plus whatever Josephine and Roy City cut out. And also looking in, we're worried about miles.
I
And
mean, it's
just,
not the deciding factor, but I think we just gotta be
I
conscious.
think,
of it.
I am conscious of
I
it.
know, I know.
I
and
am
just
very
one
I'm
other
not saying
point
you're
I
not.
want to point out, just so we're clear how this affects demographics, because that's one of the
Yes.
criteria y'all established.
Yes.
So if you look 10 years ago, Precinct 4 had an Anglo population of 55.89%. Now the Anglo population is down to 51.36%. So you actually strengthened that minority population in Precinct 4 with this plan. I mean, that's just something to take into consideration, because you said that's one of the criteria you were looking at.
Right.
But we have to have one precinct in reference to being of the population as such. Am I
Right. Because your total Anglo population is about, it's on this sheet right here. 10 years ago, your Anglo population as a total countywide was about 74%.
Yes.
Okay. Today, it is 65%.
Wow.
So with 35% growth in the minority community, that what you've done is you've actually strengthened it to increase the opportunity. I mean, we don't know who votes. We don't know how many registered voters they are, but you are strengthening that opportunity. So we can save this, and then I can just open up another
Yeah,
one.
save it and
we'll-
open up another
Okay.
one, please.
Judge, do you have your microphone on?
Oh, I don't, sorry, thank you.
Marks, do you have your microphone on? And it just turned on, I'm saying, please.
Red light is on.
James, good to see you. Huh?
So I always save a clean one. So like although it says Plan 3, just so you know what I'm doing. Plan 2, we haven't touched, but I'm just saving a clean one, so in case you want another one, we have that readily available to us.
Could you do this? Could you go back and let us see it overall, what we're
Yes.
looking at on this Plan 1?
Okay. So Hunt Proposal 1, here's what it looks like overall. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you. So this took in Wolf City
Yeah.
just up here, so you see, into 4, turning it from pink to green. And then we came down here and took from 380 south to 38, wait, some- 3211, and gave that to Precinct 1, as well as this portion of Greenville with half of voting box 212. And then the other half of 212 went to Commissioner Precinct 3.
That's clean, isn't it? It's clean. I apologize, I meant to run those mileage, with but I didn't get a chance.
That's fair. It makes sense on the map, I'm not arguing that. My concern is, we do have fewer miles in precinct 1, but we've got 130, we've got a lot, we've got more rock than any other precinct. And that area has a lot of rock roads bringing in, and rock roads are trouble. So I'm just working through my mind, is that gonna put this high growth part of the county at a deficit?
Well, the high growth is precinct 2. Them getting less miles should help precinct 2 to start working and getting better roads for precinct 2.
I think so
But
also.
then part of them gonna fall under you, that where it's growing also. So you've got to,
Yeah, that's the worry that you have in 10 more years, right? Is what happens right here, kind of in
Yes.
this corridor right here.
yeah.
Because the larger these precinct box gets, as you can see, once you start getting in 200, I mean, not precincts box, census blocks, when you start getting 300 and 400 and 200 people, and that keeps growing, that's going to keep pushing the need to come down here and gain population.
Well, let's move back up. Right now, all the projected growth that we're seeing being planned is in this Josephine area right
Okay.
here and then up in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those population numbers are gonna start changing. D.R. Horton's got several plans in those areas right
And
there.
see, that's
Right.
going to be more where we're just going to have to see where it creates the deficit over here in 3 or up in 4.
Yeah, but that's where, I mean, right in here, there's lots happening right in here. And then there's gonna be some, there's 30, probably right in here, there's gonna be a lot.
So you're still in 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, as it is today.
Yeah.
We-
But then it's gonna pop him, now with us moving it 3211 in 10 years, he may be the one with the big population.
Right.
I'd like to point out, in fact, you brought that up as far as dirt, rock, and oil sand. I've got 21 miles of dirt versus 51 in one place, 45 and 81 in another place. Now, there are some dirt roads over there that, it don't cost as much.
You know, we could go to a unit road system, we wouldn't have this discussion.
Well, everything would be done over in precinct 3 and 1. I want to take care of the people I represent. I don't like the unit system.
So you all want to move on to Plan 2 and come up with
Yeah,
another
please.
option?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think, for my take on it, maybe we start down on the south end,
Okay.
around the Quinlan area, and see if we can if something down there makes sense to take away from 2 and add to 3 down there. And then maybe work back up to where maybe we can cure Mark's problem a little bit, coming from the other direction. I'm not sure there's gonna be an easy divide there, but I think we ought to look at it.
So down here in Quinlan, right?
Yeah, somewhere down in that area, we need to look at maybe some population areas that might make sense down in the south. If you can go all the way to South County line, I don't think the South County line will have a lot of numbers down there anywhere.
So you have this one census block right here follows Greasy Creek. So there's 165. If you see, that's a pretty big census block right there. Then you have 3316, which is on the east side of County Road 2316. And then you go on up, there's 182 in here, and then you would come into Quinlan.
Down to the south, there's a lot of private roads which that wouldn't. affect?
Yeah, if you look
Road.
down here, Prairie 2308, Prairie 2310, County Road 2312. Then if you're on the other side, you're over here at Lone Star Trail, John Dennis Lane, Big Rack Road.
Can we just see what those numbers
Sure.
pop in?
So if
It kind of
we,
totals going up into Quinlan and catch all those through there. There's not a lot of roads in there.
giving to 3 from 2. And we're going to stay on the so you're at 488 right there.
Now go into Quinlan.
Might be
35 is 276.
a.
Yes.
They
35
stopped
is
at 276. It don't go, let's see, what if you stayed south at 276 is the north side right there. I think, I can't tell from here. Looks
So
like.
that's 806 people so far. You want me to capture some of this
What
over
about,
here?
is this over here, these lines to the right, is that Quinlan or what, or is that precinct 2 or what is
These
that?
dotted lines right here,
Uh-huh.
that's the city
That's
of
the
Quinlan.
city
Oh, that's
limits.
city limits, okay.
So if I'm still saying south, but if I stayed in the city of Quinlan's limits, 1081.
Wow.
What does that do to you, Philip?
That makes me way over. In fact, my
No,
population
no,
would be
no,
higher.
no, if we took out, I mean, this is a whole new deal.
No, that's, all that right there that he's looking at,
Huh?
that's in precinct 2.
I understand.
Yeah,
We're on a whole new plan now.
yeah.
Forget what we've already done. It's a whole new plan. So this would be going, what, 1052?
1081.
1081
So
to
he's
go to
still
his, it needs to be
about
100 short.
200 and something
200
short.
short, okay. So if we put that into precinct 3 and took it away from 2,
I mean, if you captured, I don't know if these are, that's a creek, so that's probably a road right there. Yeah. If you made that road the dividing line, then that's 1124.
you're getting pretty close.
I mean, there probably isn't much more he needs to do right there.
Right. Why don't we save that?
I'm gonna just check that off. And that's 1.37. See right there, negative 1.37 under right here.
What did it do to 2? Came down to
15.
15?
So 2 still needs to give away about 3,500.
What did we give away to 1 a minute ago? You remember?
It was over
It
3,000
was?
No.
because we gave all of this away right here.
Right.
What does it get us if we go using 3211 as a southern boundary line still?
Okay.
But we stop it at, say, 36 or something. So
That would be giving 2. I mean,
Start at
1.
the county line and go east to 36 or going from Greenville.
I guess you could do either side.
Either way.
Yeah.
So the bulk of your population's over here on the county line.
So what if we start at the county line and work east toward 36?
On 3211.
Where's 36 right,
Right
here?
there.
Right there.
Okay.
You're not gonna have the population.
I'm sorry.
You won't have the population.
We know that,
Yeah.
but that's a starting point.
He's gonna have to come in and probably take the whole 212.
Which we could do now that we don't need it for 2, or 3, I mean.
There was one over on the county line, I think. That keep 212 whole also.
There's one, yeah.
So you want me to accept that?
And then get 212.
That one we split in half.
Mm-hmm. So now we've got to give between 1 and 4.
I think Wolf City worked out pretty well. Steve does have a lot of roads.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to,
That's gonna be pretty close,
Be
probably.
close.
So we were up here. Give from 1 to 4.
You should ask them to make the census blocks bigger next time.
I know, this is crazy, right? Especially these like weird little 0 ones in here.
Jeannie, you getting a headache yet? You sure?
Should have brought my 7-year-old. She'd love this.
I should have brought my 7-year-old. Well, she's 8 now, but she's better than this than I am. And then if I just went on up and captured everything on this side of 36, that's 14.
So what does that do to us?
you're gonna catch those other 2, aren't you?
Those lakes, that's what those were.
Yeah, up out of it. There's
No people in there.
20 people.
So now
up there.
that makes your deviation
What's to say?
2.4 and 1.37, so you're at
2.8.
3.77. Still well below the 5.
Did you take and take, the entire precinct 102 in on that?
How big is 102?
102 has 1399.
Yeah,
399
102 comes,
I think it comes way out here too.
It comes, yeah, it comes
Yeah.
out to, what is that, 272?
Right.
yes.
But you may be able to merge that with the one next to it if you took the bulk of the population away from it. You know, like, we could just shift those to one to the Wolf City, and then move all those other voters to another box.
Eric, does this already include 212 and into precinct?
Yes.
So totally, where are we at now? We okay everywhere?
Yeah, you're below 5%. You're C 2.4 right here and 1.37 right here. One becomes your largest. And two actually goes down in population to under 149 under.
So one's the only positive, everybody else is under?
Yes.
Oh, that's a whole lot more than the first one.
I bet you do. Philip, what do you think?
I like the boundary lines of 34. I like the population because it was working. Basically down there, in actuality, we have a lot of flood area. Alligator Bottom and stuff like that. But would you move it up?
Sure.
You're not Alligator Bottom, you're too far south.
Go back down.
Go to the
please.
south boundary line, south county
Yeah,
line.
there you go, a little more. Okay, there's Alligator Bottom right there yonder. I don't know what these roads, I think a lot of those roads off of that are private roads.
Most of them will be.
There aren't a lot of roads down there in that southern area.
Nope.
I can zoom in closer if you see a specific.
Is the city limit line still on?
Yes. Here's the Quinlan
I
City
got it,
limit
the black
This little-
line?
This
Okay.
little dotted
Yeah.
line. And then this over here is just the area that captured those census blocks.
Where's 36 come in up there off of 276 or 35?
Right to the right, right up here. Just at the.
This is 36
Yeah,
right here,
there.
right?
Yeah.
And then the dividing line here is
What
County
y'all,
Road.
what y'all done basically is increased. I don't know what it would increase as far as mileage. I'm already at 254 miles. None of that would consist of poetry, am I correct? Right?
I don't think so.
I would not be in favor of that, be honest with you. I don't believe y'all would if you were in my position either. I've got
Becau-
enough
because
Well,
of-
it's either
walking
gonna be
around.
you or Mark, one.
Because of roads?
Well, yeah.
Well, I've got 298 and probably just took in another 5 or 10 more miles.
Where's that at?
That's up north of Wolf City.
Yeah, but those are in Wolf City.
Not all of them.
No, they're not. I'm still taking in more roads, and I'm at 298
Steve's
right
gonna
now.
keep the most roads,
Yes, by 40 or 50.
and Mark won't get in as bad a shape. You're not gonna be, and two's gonna come down some, but not drastically.
Do you know how many roads this is gonna be? Nobody's looked at them. I
Nope.
think that needs to be looked at.
He didn't need to earlier, did he? He didn't need to
I
when he was
wanna tell
on
you-
the Greenville.
So when you look here, I'm just going to name the roads for you so you know what they are. You're looking like, some of these look like private roads to me, and then others are in the 2300, 2304, 2300,
Bye.
2306. Then I named all these roads earlier. Lone Star, John Dennis. Then Prairie 2308, Prairie 2310, County Road 2312, and then you're done right there. Here's County Road 2324, right, looks like a short road right on the other side of that Greasy Creek.
What is, I'll go back over there, what is that county road up there? 2316?
This is 23-22. 23-23. This says Big Rack Road, John Dennis Lane, Lone Star Trail. 2300 is this long road. So what I can do is I can do this almost, short real time here, is if I have a Wi-Fi connection, I can actually send these shape files to you. And if you have 911 coordinating or a GIS office or anybody like that that can take then they can print this out where y'all can spread these two proposals out and look at them rather than trying to, and we can do a third proposal. I mean, we can do, just as long as I leave here by a certain time to get to my next commissioners court meeting,
What
I'm
time's
good to
that?
go. 1:30 Upshur County, so I gotta get to Gilmer.
What in the world's up?
Noon.
Yeah, it'd take you at least an hour and a half probably to get there.
So y'all got me for another hour and a half.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the schedule.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, so if we adopt one of these today,
Okay.
what's
Hold
the
on just a
whole
second.
timeline to get us approved?
So you're not adopting anything today. All you're doing is ordering that second order, acknowledging that your county is above the 10%. So that just means you are presumptively unconstitutional, right?
Okay.
And so you are ordering that your county is going through the redistricting process. So the next thing that you have to do today is you have to set a public hearing and get it put in some newspaper, posted on your website. I sent all that to you about.
But we have to tentatively
3:25
adopt
this morning.
something today?
No,
I brought it.
you're adopting an order
Okay.
just to redistrict, not what your redistricting plan is.
So what will the public hearing be about then?
The public hearing is about the proposals that you are,
Like 1 and 2 proposals?
Yeah.
Okay.
and then after you have the public hearing, here's proposal 1, here's proposal 2 at your public hearing. Then after the public hearing, where the public gets the opportunity to come in, make any statements about proposal 1, proposal 2. Then after you close that public hearing, then you go into just a regular commissioners court meeting, and then you adopt what your new political boundaries are.
Okay, what's all the notices for the public hearing and all?
That
Are they
is,
5 days or what?
okay, so here's the weird thing, right? One of the requirements under free clearance is that you gave everyone the opportunity to be heard. There is no specific law that says, like how some of your ordinances require 10 days notice,
Right.
7-day notice, 30 days notice, right? There is no time frame prescribed in here. We're just making the best efforts under the timetable that we have to get this set for a public hearing and putting notice out there. So that's why I say make sure you post it on your website or however y'all normally post public hearings, but also put it in the newspaper as quickly as possible. That's why I was sending them out this morning so early, was because I want everybody to make sure you make your paper deadlines if you need to. Like if there's a Tuesday paper deadline or a Wednesday paper deadline, we're making those deadlines.
So
Your newspaper runs when?
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Okay, so probably we can't get it in the Thursday paper, or are we still?
We can get it in Saturday.
Okay, so we could get it in the Saturday paper, so then one day next week, y'all need to set a special date, special commissioners court meeting to have a hearing.
We couldn't have it at a regular session next week?
What day's your regular session?
Tuesday.
Tuesday the 9th.
So you'd have Saturday in the paper, they'd have Saturday notice, Sunday notice, Monday notice, that's 3 days. I mean, that's pretty good. Under this time frame, then y'all could put all that on y'all's, and having it on your regular commissioners court meeting date actually probably helps too, just with information most people know what day you meet and know where to come and how to accomplish those tasks. So if you for sure could get it in Thursday's paper, then you're good. I
Yeah,
mean, in Saturday's
Saturday's.
paper, yeah, by the deadline's probably Thursday, right? Or Wednesday.
Yes, I think it is. I think it is.
Well, my concern, of course, is back to what we talked about earlier, filing. So if we don't get it done before the 13th of November, then we can't have people knowing where they can.
Where their boundaries
Where
are.
their
So
boundaries.
that's why we're trying to get it done by
That's what I'm
next
saying. That's why I was
Friday.
asking about
Yeah.
timeframes and all that. I'm trying
You're
to
either
figure
having
out.
a special commissioners court meeting on Friday, 11th, 12th, right?
Yeah,
Or y'all are one of the lucky ones, right? Because you have a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday newspaper.
Right.
If you only had a Tuesday paper, then we would get it in next Tuesday's paper, and then you would have to have a meeting on Friday. But since we can get it in on Saturday, then you can have it at your regular commissioners court meeting on Tuesday.
But you'll have to put it in on Thursday. That'll be good. Will we have that, if I may, will we have that, try to put it in with it? I'll probably have to go over after lunch maybe. Just put it in and find out what happens. Well, I'd say yes.
So, even today, Judge, for example, after I go to Gilmer, if you call me tonight and say, Commissioner Hutchins looked at one thing, we want to move this one census block from here to here, that can still be your proposal on next Tuesday.
Right.
Not that we would make drastic changes because each one of them are here putting their input in, but I've had that happen multiple times where somebody went out there and was like, we didn't think about this. There's this one little street right here that we need to carve back into somebody else. That's going to be okay, right?
Right.
You and me tonight drafting up a whole new plan probably is going to get me in trouble with everybody else. But if we work off these two, even when you get it and you want to make some little tweaks, let me know and I can do that after 5.
okay, so I think, I understand the parameters now. Do y'all? Why don't we just,
Okay.
Can we, will you be able to get us copies of Plan 1 and 2?
what we're
I'm going to
talking
send it
before-
right now,
Okay,
actually,
good.
to the judge, and he will have the shape files, and whoever can do that. I can, here, yeah. What I can do is I can make a map that looks like you see it right here.
Yes.
The problem is, like I'll just show you as an example so you know what it would look like. If I turned off the census block data, then it shows you your counties, right? So I can zoom in and I can make these roads show up better than they're showing right here. I can make them, identify what they are. It's just not going to catch every one because there's no way to make it small enough. You see how small I have to make it in order to capture this. But if I send you the actual shape file, then you don't have the census blocks to manipulate. That's all proprietary information of Caliper, the
Right.
software system that we use. But the shape file is yours. You own it. You paid us to do your job.
Right.
So this is the boundaries, and all the roads that are contained in there are yours. So when I send that to you, you can go do the same thing I'm doing right here and look at all the road names, or even print it out. Those shape files will allow you to print it out like this.
right?
In whatever portion you want to see. It can print out big maps.
Right, no, I understand.
So I'll send that to you right now, and then you have it with these existing boundaries.
Okay, well, so now that I think we all understand our timeframes we have, can we go try a third look at it and see if there's a third option maybe?
Sure.
Okay.
Or do we want to stay with just 2?
No, I'm
We-
good. I've got all
We can do a third option. I can lose about 20 or 30 county road miles.
So
Give
I'm
them
gonna
to
save
Philip.
this one, which is proposal 2.
When's Randy back? He back next week?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Would you want to give up any of the city of Greenville in here before? Is that all Greenville? I think that is.
This is 69 right here.
What if,
In Greenville, is that where I'm looking?
yeah, what if we gave, everything in the city maybe up in here to take it from one and give it to four? And then whatever voting block is in here or whatever, do the same thing maybe?
Okay. So that would be giving from 1 to 4.
Jeannie, is that basically what describing 108?
So that's the voting block right there.
That's what you gave that to me?
That's 105, okay.
And I will tell you, there's 1,843 people in there.
Oh,
So
wow.
that-
That's too much.
That's
then.
too
Well,
much.
I mean, what you're gonna do is create a overage, not much, it's probably gonna, I mean, I'll just show you what it does, we can always undo it. That creates 4 being over by 1.12.
Okay.
Wow.
Just taking that whole voting box and shifting it over.
What did I hear back there?
All she's
I
got,
like that.
she likes it for this reason.
It's
she's
all one
gotta do
box.
is enter her system and change a number all the way down, rather than trying to figure out each voter.
Okay, so let's do that for a second.
Okay. So now. Two needs to give 3,700 to 1. Really about 3,500.
We're back to 3211 and all of West Greenville again.
Try the other side of 36.
Oh, so you want to go this way on 36? So if we, I know what you're talking about here. If we go census block, we're giving from 2 to 1. Oh, wait,
Okay, you cross through, here's 3211.
It's gonna blow up in a second.
Where's,
Killing you?
where's 3211?
Yeah, don't ask me right now.
Right
right
there?
here.
You taking all of 210?
No,
No? Don't answer.
I'm just doing what the judge pointed out.
Okay, Judge, help me here. It's a hard day already.
Hello. Thirteen people living in the creek.
Jeannie, is 215 is your largest box.
Where's the county line over yonder on the left? How far?
Pretty good ways, isn't it?
We're not touching that.
Okay, so that takes you to the city limits of Greenville right there. And that's 403 people.
All right.
Probably needs to capture all of these so we're not cutting them off.
They're all zeros.
There's 15 right here. And then he would have to come back down here and capture all of 211, probably.
Yeah, try that.
I gotta accept this in order to do that.
You know, people don't know where they're gonna vote hardly now, you know, without division lines. This is gonna be very confusing. We have a problem with even in our own precincts.
So that gets him, just with those two changes right there, down to 2.53.
And 2 to 2.23.
So you're right at 4.76, but we still have to get him away. I mean, we've got to get him precinct 3.
Yeah, we gotta get with 3. So what does he gotta do? He's gotta get some more.
3 has to get roughly around 1,200 people, either from 1 or 2. So we could back out some of this.
Let's see here. What's inside the city of Greenville that we could, is there anything left to give?
Yeah, there's that bit over there up around.
Yeah, could give that,
Right here.
yeah. Give that to 3. That would clean up Greenville a little bit. There wasn't a whole box in there.
The whole box was 3,000 voters.
Oh.
Wow.
Oops.
So that would make one, if you just cleaned up that little area right there, that puts 1 pretty much back to where he needs to be.
Okay, what's it do to 3?
So now 2 needs to give to 3. Probably 400 or 500 people at least.
What if we went down to the city of Quinlan? Gave him city of Quinlan.
Now, if 2, if we don't give them any more than we absolutely have to, they're gonna make that up with the groves.
So 2, I mean, we're giving to 3 from 2. The city, everything within the city limits of Quinlan.
Yeah, I'm just guessing. I don't know how many's in the city of Quinlan, but, huh? I didn't think it'd be that big. Maybe. All right, I'll tell you what, I'm sorry. Why don't we start on the east side of Quinlan
Okay.
and let 34 be the dividing line? I'm sorry, we probably should have.
Let me just.
I wasn't thinking about Quinlan having 1,500 people. I was,
You're getting
that's
over
right,
that
that's right.
5.
You're doing good.
Well, you're
Because
gonna-
east side of 34, he's already got.
right here.
Yeah, that's fine.
You could make 35 south right here and give all this back. 341. If you went all the way up to Second Street,
What about south, what does it do south?
right here,
Okay, it goes all the way to 34, okay.
that's 638.
You say that's Second Street?
Yes, sir.
And what do you need for something?
He needed 550.
Why don't we see what that does to us?
So that makes your total deviation 2.53.
Bill, what do you think about that one? You don't pick up any roads in Quinlan.
No, what kind of, well, I have to look at it to see where it's at. Could you go to the north, please?
Yes, sir.
Nothing's changing north.
Yeah, it did, I thought. Didn't it change up
Oh, it's all the
north?
city of Greenville.
Oh, up here,
Yeah, up north, it was all city of Greenville, I think.
right here, it's this area. Inside the city of Greenville.
That's all city of Greenville. Do your city of Greenville, city of Quinlan, you don't get any new roads.
I have no
East
problem with
Mount
it. How's it gonna, on the first one, we had, I'm interested in finding out what the minority
So
situation
under
on
this
this.
one,
Yeah.
if you look right here, under the easiest place to look is under the white population, right here where it says non-Hispanic white. 4 is 49.73%. This is proposal number 3.
And what was it, Mingo, 50 point something?
52, 51.
So it didn't change it much.
I
It
thought it
actually
was
made it
60.
stronger.
Right, that's what I'm saying, it didn't change much, but a little.
It made four, what was it, 60?
No.
51.
51?
Mark?
How did it affect
Like this one?
your,
Yeah, 2 and 3, I like the both body plan.
Harrison? What do you think? You're not getting as many roads, are you?
yeah, you got some roads, if I'm not mistaken, up towards West City. Am I
You got
correct?
some roads in Wolf City, what's
Yeah.
the plan right here? Didn't you get a lot of Greenville or all of Greenville?
Wait,
Wait,
This-
this
this
is
doesn't
right.
change.
Hold on.
this doesn't flip Wolf City.
Right, Wolf City's out. So now you're just getting Greenville, and I think you got mostly Greenville, is what I was saying. It wouldn't add any roads to that Wolf City. I think.
Where's 118 at?
Right here.
There is that one funky box there on the other side, on the west side of 69.
Wait, so right over here, I think we've messed something up.
Whereabouts?
Let's back up just a little bit.
He
'Cause you
didn't
didn't want to
leave
go
that.
all the way down to
Yeah.
3211 over here, right?
No,
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
That was right, though. You did right.
no, we didn't want to do that.
All of this needs to go back,
Yeah,
right here.
yeah, that's not what we were trying to do.
Hold on, let's just see what it does.
Oh, I thought he left that
Mess it
out.
all up.
Well, that may make
Isn't
it,
this exciting? Just think, Carol, y'all get to do this too.
I know, that's what I'm thinking, our voters are going to be really confused when you make changes and we have changes, because we're gonna be moving down. So this is my least favorite plan for our voters.
This one? Which one do you like the most? The second one?
I like 2.
Just trying to throw out ideas.
Oh, I think that's good.
I just thought this one might not get you as many roads, since you already got the most roads. Okay. Oh, Wolf City? Okay. I don't do roads.
Sisler,
So then,
you still have everything up to the right on 34?
that was the division line right there.
Yes,
That you wanted,
that's-
right,
Yeah,
36
yeah,
off.
what I
that's what we
thought it
were
was.
trying to look at.
So then if you would have to come in here and capture some, I mean, you're still not gonna get enough though, that's the problem. If you just follow city limit boundaries
Yeah, you're not
in
gonna,
Greenville. Cause you gotta get about 1,200 votes.
what do you think? I don't, is it worth pursuing this any further?
I don't think this is going in a positive direction.
Yeah, we'll skip this one.
Okay, so 1 and 2 is what you want me to email you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let y'all adopt that order, and I don't need to email it to everybody on, public communication
No,
here.
I pulled it from your stream.
Oh, okay. I
Now,
lost
now,
that.
the part of this part of this that was good, that we don't want to throw out too quickly, is giving Philip people in Quinlan, precinct 3 Quinlan, and people in Greenville over on this side. So I don't know, do we need to just rejigger this and stick with this a little bit and
on 2?
on this one on 3?
Oh, I don't know, he's already clearing it.
Basically, what he said in reference to 3, that the way he didn't have it blanked out over there on the left part of up to 380, and that wasn't going to work out
Okay.
due to
So-
the population. That's
Well,
why he
it's gonna
said
be a
trash.
lot more,
That's why he said
So
trash
what we can
3.
do is just scrap 3 altogether.
Yeah,
And
that's-
then go to 4, and then if y'all wanna make, start with 4 and make that Quinlan change.
Mark, it affects you, affects y'all, it don't affect me.
I liked 2 pretty
Two.
well, but I don't want to.
Two is my favorite so far. I like 2.
Do we wanna go back and look at it some more and see if we can tweak it some, or you like it just the way it is, or?
Here's one thing I have against number 2, because I know that we're going to lose mileage in reference, and that's what he needs. He needs to lose some mileage. And I'm going to look at inheriting some roads I hadn't even looked at, for one thing, but also we're coming from Lone Oak all the way, and that's why I like the boundaries. Plus that, all we're doing is confusing. That's what I like
We're
about
gonna
number 1.
confuse
We're
everybody
con-
anyway.
Yeah, we're not confusing as many because they've been there on the 380, 3211 and the 380 and all this. I'd rather not cross any highways as far as barriers because of safety. I mean, that's true.
Well, you're not gonna avoid that. You're going to
Well,
cross them
I
anyway.
have avoided crossing 380 since 2001.
Jeannie,
That's on I-30.
which one affects you the least? None of them? All of them affect you too much?
I mean-
You're splitting precincts, I mean, it's, if 2 is favorable, I like 2.
Who's the least destructive to you?
Well, there's going to be disruption.
Yeah.
with population
There will be,
growth.
absolutely.
We can't avoid that.
I mean, Quinlan, I'm just pointing out the obvious on Plan 2. If Quinlan, and I know, I don't know what y'all are wanting to use as the boundary here. If y'all wanted to use, was 34 the already existing boundary?
Yeah,
Okay. Because there's more population to take in Quinlan without taking all of this big portion down here. But if the point of taking this whole big portion down here is to give county roads to someone.
or some of both.
Well, precinct 2 is losing county roads.
Right.
They're going to lose county roads. And they're going to continue losing county roads as these cities
Grow.
grow.
So I mean, if you wanted
So-
to keep 34 the boundary, then you could go into Quinlan.
I would like to see if we could keep, under Plan 2, make the revision to keep 34 the boundary and take in more, or if we have to cross it, to keep it in Quinlan proper.
Okay, so let me tell you what I'm gonna do here. We're going to create a Plan 2A.
Okay,
With just that change, so that you will know the distinction of why.
okay. That's reasonable. Y'all need to take a break while he's doing
Let's take a
that?
break real quick. We need to recess.
Yeah. We just go into recess for a few minute, 10-minute break.
That'll be good.
It's 11:08, we're back in session.
Okay, this was that Plan 2A that we were talking about. So if we want to go back down here, and give from 3 back to, give to 2, back to 3. We came down here. Those are all city limit boundaries that I'm leaving where they're at. I know I crossed 36, but that leaves everybody on that side of Quinlan in precinct 3. I'm just gonna look and see how many people that's gonna change. 550. Yeah, 550. Then we would have to come into the north side of Quinlan. And that would give all of Quinlan to Commissioner 3, everything within the city limits of Quinlan.
Okay?
So now your deviation is 3.06, meaning Commissioner Precinct 1 is over by 2.4%. Commissioner 3 is under by negative 0.66. So when you add the 2 to the 0.66, that's 306. Your racial demographics, I know you asked about earlier, Commissioner Martin, is still the same at 51.36 because we didn't touch Precinct 4.
Right.
So that, when you zoom out, is what it would look like. Keeps 34 the boundary, but gives all of
So
Quinlan.
he's got most now, 1?
1 still has the most at 599.
Would you go on up into the Greenville area?
Yes, sir.
But our differentials are okay.
Yes. You've created the biggest deficit, obviously. I told you wrong. It's 3.7 because 2 is under by 1.3.
Yeah.
Still under 5%. But you've created the biggest deviation down here at 2.
Is all of that on the south side of Greenville, that's increasing one now, that's all within the city limits, or?
Yes. Not all of it. See, there's this portion right here that's not in the city limits. That's not in your precinct.
Yeah,
That's,
I was
yes.
just referring to my precinct portion.
Everything right here is in city limits. If you see, follow this dotted line,
Okay, there it is, I see it now, gotcha.
that's the city of Greenville limits. And there, the change we made was 212, the whole thing.
So that gives us 3 proposals then?
This gives you 1, 2, and then the
2A.
2A.
Right,
Yes.
that's what I'm saying, 3 different proposals.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So if we move forward with those 3 proposals, then all we need to do is to approve
The order
The
to
findings?
redistrict.
order to redistrict the political boundaries.
Yes, it's the findings of fact
Facts, okay.
regarding political boundaries of Hunt County following the publication of the 2020 census data and order for redistricting of political boundaries. And just so you know what that does, is it creates 6 things that your findings of fact for today. The first one is that the county had a total maximum deviation as defined in this order as 27.12%. A total maximum deviation above the excess of 10% is presumptively unconstitutional. You are therefore acting today to undergo the process, meaning to redistrict and make sure you bring your commissioners court precincts into alignment. And then subsequently, that will make your JPs come into, if you change their boundaries, into some sort of alignment. But it will more importantly make your election precincts match up with your commissioners court precincts to make sure you know where all your voters go. And then from there, you will comply with the Open Meetings Act as we've done so far. You're putting all of your notices, open sessions, posting within the 72-hour requirements. And you're making sure that you satisfy all the legal requirements of the U.S., Texas constitutions, the elections code, Texas Elections Code, and the Voting Rights Act. And then the last one is you will at some point address and adopt political boundaries for each one of the commissioners, the JPs, and the election precincts.
Okay?
Excuse me, Judge. Are we gonna have to redo the JPs or constables?
We
or are
ain't talked
all
about
right?
that yet. We're going to talk about that after this.
We can talk about that just if, I know your question was the numbers.
Yes.
But,
Well, I've got a different question.
yes.
If we're going to talk about it now, or you want us to adopt this and then go to the JP?
Yeah, go ahead and adopt that, and then let's talk about
Okay.
JPs.
All right, Commissioners, I entertain a motion to approve the findings of fact regarding political boundaries of Hunt County, Texas, following publication of 2020 census data and order for redistricting of political boundaries.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, JPs and constables.
So when I looked at your JP and constable map, I was also cognizant of what we were doing today.
Right,
We have not affected any of their boundary lines right
Right,
now.
right.
You know, Wolf City was always in JP Constable 3. That's where we made some changes, right? In the city of Greenville, and even those portions in the southern portion, 3211, is that the road we were talking about? That area has always been in precinct 1, so we made no changes there.
Right.
Obviously, JP2, we weren't anywhere over in that far corner of the county. And then south in this whole Quinlan area, all of that portion has always been in JP4, so we made no changes there. So what were your thoughts about moving the JP boundary lines?
Well, my
Because there's
concern-
not a requirement to make it match up with any sort of commissioner's court precinct.
well, I understand, and I don't, what I'm gonna say, I don't know that it's factual, but it's always been hearsay that, for historical reasons, I've always understood that precinct 1 for the JP, precinct was because the DPS officed in the same building with them, and they didn't wanna go run all over the county to testify in traffic violations and all, so they kept them in one spot, which really messes up the whole system. The one, JP 1-1 and JP 1-2, they have nearly all the revenue stream of all the JPs, and JP 3 has very little revenue, 2 has more than that, and 4 has a fair amount. So we're really financing a JP office that we don't really need. We don't really need but 4. And I don't know, we got time to get into the details of eliminating one at this point in time. and-
Okay, well, that's a little bit more complicated
That's
about
what I'm-
eliminating one. That's one that I've got to look at. So the Texas Constitution sets 4 JPs, and if you adopted an order prior to the constitutional amendment, I think of 1998, maybe. It may have even been before that, 1996, 92. You had to adopt one then at that time saying that you could go down to 3 or 2 or 1. You can't do it today if you're required to keep the 4, but I'll look at
We
that.
got 5.
Oh, you got,
We got 5.
We have 4
Okay.
places, but one of them has 2.
oh, you're getting rid of a place, not a,
Well, what I would like to see is go back to what most other counties do and just follow the constable precinct line, or the commissioner's precinct
Commissioners.
lines, and make that the JP line and eliminate the JP and just have 4 JPs. I don't feel like we need 5.
okay. So
Maybe.
you have 4
That's
JPs.
my opinion.
You have 4 JPs, just one JP has 2
Right.
places.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit technical difference there.
Right.
I
So-
believe that JP that has 2, wasn't that due to, people involved in the city? And if you had over 25, you had to have 2?
And that's because that JP is so large because of 1, right? I'll go back and look at that and then I'll call you and then I may be able even to zoom in.
I don't know what the rest of the commissioners think. That's just my idea. I mean, each budget costs the taxpayers about $200,000 in budgetary authority, and Wolf City, JP brings in less than $10,000 of revenue, and 2 brings in less than $50,000 of revenue. JP1, JP11, and JP12 both cover their budget by a little bit, and JP4 brings in 2/3 of his budget. Bruce, am I remembering that about right? That's pretty close, isn't it? Pretty close. So, I mean, we're spending extra couple $100,000 a year for a JP office that I don't feel like we need now. I know it's gonna offend some people, make some people upset. I don't know if it'll displace any serviceability of our citizens. If it is, then we certainly need to consider that. But, I mean, if we can save a couple $100,000 of budgetary authority, I mean, that's real dollars. I mean, that's a 1/4% on the tax rate.
What precinct are we gonna try to cut, or what, JP?
Well, I don't know how you do it, because what I recommended was, what I'd like to see is we just create JP precincts that follow the commissioner's lines. So I don't know that we'd be cutting anybody that, I mean, 3 of them are up for election this year, I think. 4 and 2 and 3 are both up this time, and JP11's up, I think. Anybody know for sure? Do you know?
That's right.
I think that's right. I think they're all up, but JP1, 2, which is Wayne Money, because he just got reelected. I think the rest of them are all up. So, I don't know, it may not be the right time. We may not be able to legally do it.
I'll look into it and I'll report back to you.
Okay. I mean, again, do y'all care if we look at it, or y'all opposed
I
to
think we
looking
should,
at it?
especially if it can save money.
I'd like to look at it for the cost savings
Yes.
and confusion of not following the commissioner boundaries.
Yeah.
I agree.
I believe boundary line would be quite important also, because.
And then I guess the constables, how do they?
They follow the JP.
Right, so that would fix those. We got 4 of those. We just have to find out where they all live. I don't know where all of them live. But we can get that while you're getting us the answer.
Yeah, send me that and I can put them in here.
Okay. Because we don't want to displace them, but I don't know where, I mean, Commerce clearly lives in
Well,
Commerce.
Yeah, obviously.
I don't
we
know about Wolf City, where they would fall. I don't know where they live.
Just figure that out off record.
Yeah.
Judge, can I ask another question?
Absolutely, Bruce.
Your,
Can you come forward?
Your JP offices, don't they all have to, okay.
You need to get on the mic.
They
Sorry.
need to be in their precinct, you're correct. I know you're asking about the JP offices have to be in their own precinct.
Correct.
So you'll have to make sure when you draw the 4 boundaries, each JP is gonna have an office, or you're gonna have to go.
Build
get
one.
an office, yeah.
Right. All right, do we need to do anything else today then?
I think that's it. I'm just emailing you right now those shape files so that you will have those.
Okay. Let's see, where's my agenda? It's in here somewhere. We don't have anything else, do we?
No, sir.
All right, any, Daniel, got anything? We don't need to go executive session for anything? All right, being no further business in the court today, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned at 11:24. Mike, all?